Delusions of justice. Some people are asking if I was delusional. They want to know if if the stuff I said about the 3,500 people and high-tech gadgets was just craziness or true or what. I'm a little uncomfortable going into the numbers of people after seeing what the feds did to me and my friends and family. The feds have no problem going on a witch hunt for innocent people they disagree with politically, religiously, or otherwise. So if right now they're feeling like they've burned all the witches in Salem, I don't want to change their mind. But I will say this, we did have around 3,500 people statewide. We have done a lot of hard work with the Second Amendment Task Force all over Alaska to build a politically, ethnically, and socially diverse coalition of salt-of-the-earth people whose loyalty was to their neighbors, not the government. The reason it got so big, in my opinion, is that we built it around the two very simple and universal values of mutual respect and never forcing people to do anything they don't want to do. This allowed people with totally different ideologies to see each other as allies. It's a good feeling when someone who holds completely different opinions than you still has your back. It's a myth that people are afraid of people who are different from them, who are different than them. People are afraid of people who are going to force them to change. Our motto was, if you want to change me, convince me, but don't try to force me. This appealed to everyone except government extremists and members of federal supremacist hate groups. The vast majority of people are good-hearted and know what were saying was right. I believe this is what caused our numbers to grow so fast. This was a loose, dormant association. I'll admit I overplayed how organized we were and how much we had our act together. I was trying to make people feel good about what we had accomplished and what we could accomplish. I wish I could say I was just messing with the FBI, who was listening, but I wasn't that devious. And at the time, honestly, I thought they had way more important things to worry about than me. Wrong again. This brings us to the stuff I said about high-tech gadgets and so forth. That stuff was completely imaginary craziness, but it didn't come from me. Let me explain. When the feds made the decision to get rid of me, I hadn't committed a crime and wasn't likely to do so. I just wasn't predisposed that way. They sent in a few informants like Chris Menino, the drug-dealing chiropractor by Taco King, who offered to help me plan and carry out an attack of some kind. But those informants quickly learned that I had neither the means nor the motive to do such a thing. But the feds always get their man, whether he's innocent or not. So they set out to supply both the means and the motive where it otherwise didn't exist. Bill Fulton and Aaron Bennett, acting as informants, approached me very early on and showed me all kinds of high-tech gadgets and pictures of even cooler stuff they had. They assured me that all of it was at my disposal, which is a textbook FBI move. I said that's good to know, and I figured that it's never good to be helpless, and some of that stuff might come in handy if the country ever really came unglued. But then months went by and years went by, and I simply showed no inclination towards going out and picking a fight or committing a crime. It was during this time that I mentioned the cool equipment on a few occasions. Fulton and Bennett had not yet become threatening when I referred to the high-tech gadgets they had, or at least I thought they had. Looking back, the whole thing was probably fake. The feds had supplied the means, but I still had no motive. This is where they show that they really are psychotic, cold-blooded Nazis. They tried to create the motive by threatening my 1.5-year-old son, Seth. Some cop went on Facebook and found a picture of my son on the living room floor playing with a pile of 223 shells. He then filed a complaint with the Office of Child Services. They then went and got what's called a writ of assistance, which is basically permission for these masked, machine gun slinging door kickers to come raid our home and take our baby. This was done in bad faith, and Trooper Ron Wall was in on it. Ron Wall is one of the drug-dealing cops in cahoots with Menino, who we were trying to expose with the Liberty Bell. He knows my whole family. I race motorcycles in Tok with his 2 sons and ex-wife. He knew full well that we are good people and the child neglect complaint was bogus. He just wanted to cooperate with the feds to get rid of someone who is trying to expose police corruption. Look, I don't care if you deal drugs. It's the drug war I'm against. The only reason for it is to keep the price high for inside dealers like Wall. But I digress. We found out about the writ of assistance through our attorney, Robert John. Naturally, we were pretty scared. The feds figured that with my children being threatened, I would surely have a reason to plot an attack. This is what brings us to the Blondies episode. They had Bill Fulton come up from Anchorage and call a meeting along with Bennett. It was going to be perfect. Fulton and Bennett were supplying the means, threats on my family were supplying the motive, and it was all together in one place. They'd just convinced me I had to protect my family. I'd say yes, and the SWAT team would swoop in and arrest me. And it would be nothing but press release and ticker tape parades after that. What could go wrong? I said no. And when I said no, Fulton flew into a rage and attacked Les Zerby with a hunting knife. He held it to Les Zerby's throat and said he was going to kill him if I refused to join him and Bennett. We still refused and got out of there real quick, but after that the nightmare just got worse and worse and worse. Now if I told you that I saw Jesus in my oatmeal and he told me that my life was in danger and people were out to get me, then yeah, I'm a nut. But these escapades were audio and video recorded. You can hear Agent Sutherland prepping informants before they go on stage. There are emails between Bottini and Scrocky coordinating these events. We weren't allowed to show this stuff to the jury, but there's nothing stopping us from showing it to the whole rest of the world. So to answer the question, was I living in a schizophrenic delusional nightmare? Yes, but it wasn't originating in my mind. Every last bit of it was artificially created by the feds in a psychotic theatrical production intended to bend my reality into a no-win situation where my only choice would be to lash out like the boogeyman they so desperately wanted me to be. But all that couldn't overcome the fact that it wasn't in my nature to do what they wanted me to do. I'm a healthy, moral person with healthy, loving relationships with my friends and family. I feel empathy for others, and I feel bad when I do something wrong. These traits are the opposite of the blue bloods who put me in this prison, orphaned my children, and widowed my wife. I'm healthy, they're not. If anything, I was suffering from delusions of justice when I thought I could get a fair trial. But I've been cured of that.